Welcome to the Sharing the Heart of the Matter podcast. Join us as we celebrate the brilliance of authors, storytellers, and creators. I'm Wynne Leon, and in this inspiring episode, Vicki Atkinson and I are talking with author Chris Thelen. Chris followed his great success for his book, Islands of Deception, with a fantastic political thriller, Race for Redemption. Chris gives us an elevator pitch for the book and tells us how he came to write both the first book and the sequel. We talk about the challenges that come with writing a sequel and how he manages his time and writer's notes. Chris tells us about his other writing projects and how switching genres helps keep things fresh. 6 years after Chris retired, he seems to have stumbled onto another full-time career, and we celebrate all the great, heart-pounding, and beguiling writing that Chris is putting out there. Join us for a fascinating episode featuring a fantastic author writing political thrillers and more. We know you'll love it. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
It's so good to be with you again. It's so fun to have podcasted with you about your first book, Islands of Deception, and then to be back with you again for the sequel. It feels like we get to ride along with you.
It's great to come along and ride with you. Yes, thank you.
It's good. It's good. And you know, we were talking in our pre-show, Vicki and I are huge fans of Race for Redemption, as we were also for Islands of Deception. Chris, you released Race for Redemption in May of this year. Can you give us an elevator pitch for the book and the series?
Yeah, Race for Redemption is a sequel to Islands of Deception. So in the first book, we have Fallon McElliott, a Michigan State Police detective, and Daniel Callahan, he's a special agent for the FBI. And they both have this reputation for handling tough cases and bringing criminals to justice. And they're also known for their ability to work together. So things kind of go awry when Daniel's brother is wrongly convicted of murder, and he claims he has evidence on corruption in the government. And that puts Daniel and Fallon at odds with each other. And both characters kind of got to decide how much they should bend the rules to benefit their friends and family. So by the end of Islands of Deception, both men are discovering that the corruption goes far deeper than they thought when this mysterious tech billionaire shows up on the scene and announcing he's running for governor of Michigan. And he wants to unseat the current governor, Karen Bauer. So that's where Race for Redemption comes in, and that picks up the whole chase for the truth with this whole backdrop of a run for the Michigan governorship. And the clock's ticking when they realize that the stakes are far greater than they originally realized, and that national security might be jeopardized.
Right. A true political thriller. It's so good. So when you released Islands of Deception in 2023, had you already had this second book in mind, or did it sort of spin out in the year to follow?
So the backstory on Islands of Deception, I wrote that 30 years ago. And so I had this manuscript. When I retired 6 years ago, I decided to dust it off, did a serious rewrite of it. And I also had an old draft of a sequel to that book. But that old draft was woefully outdated. It had pagers in it. It had actual VCR tapes. Yeah, it's
Right.
seriously anything digital in it.
Yeah.
It was truthfully outdated.
Right.
So I always had in mind there would be a sequel to the book. And when after the first book came out, honestly, I was so focused on getting that first book out in 23. I really hadn't given second thought to doing the sequel. I think I was just trying to get over the learning curve of my first book published.
Yeah.
So I picked that up again. I think what was really interesting, I had a lot of good feedback. So I decided to rewrite the sequel. And now I think this book, what's interesting is that Race for Redemption really is much more dependent on the digital world than certainly than it was when I wrote it 30 years ago. And it raises a lot of serious questions about the threat that technology can pose when it's
Mhm.
in the wrong hands and for the wrong purposes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that really comes through. It's such a contemporary read that, I mean, I think you write so beautifully with lots of little hooks and cliffhangers in between scenes even and chapters. But I think the parallels to present day life and the things that people are worried about, it makes it so compelling, every bit of it. But I also remember when we talked to you after Islands of Deception and you were on tour, you had people asking you then, what's next? So that had to like kind of boost your energy levels about diving back into the sequel. Yes?
Yeah, I had a coworker of mine I used to work with. She actually called me when she finished the book and said, "I'm so mad at you. You have to write a sequel."
And only a coworker can
Right.
get away with that, right? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And talk about a demand that can't be satisfied immediately.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think you described it as stumbling into a series because it really fits well for a third book.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Certainly all the characters, there's
Mhm.
potential for them to do more mischief.
Right. Right. And as we were talking in the pregame, there's so many things in this book that mirror our current political thriller
Yeah.
that you couldn't have even known as you were writing and publishing Race for Redemption. I mean, this it's prescient in
Yeah.
some ways.
No, the first draft was completed in spring of 24.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Amazing.
and one of the things that sparks for us is, does the creative mind ever rest? Because I mean, you've retired from your job 6 years ago, as you said. You've written this book, and now the sequel to it. There's a third one in mind. You just won a prize for a short story. I
Yeah.
think that you mentioned that you were writing sort of a light science fiction book as well.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you have to unpack all of that for us
Mm-hmm.
because not only do Wynn and I want to know how you're balancing all of that
Right.
with book promotion, but like,
Mm-hmm.
do you sleep? When do you sleep? Do you sleep?
Oh, I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to write in the mornings. When I retired, my wife, I was in her space kind of, and
Yeah.
it's kind of that whole adjustment to
Mm-hmm.
retirement and what's the new routine. So we've kind of had this
Yeah.
thing we do weekday mornings where she does her thing and I do my writing in the morning, and then we do the rest of the day together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the routine
Nice.
I do every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Probably a little less in the summer. There's more time to play.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. Right.
But then are you pivoting from, as when described, you have beautiful talents and capacity in several different areas. Do you schedule that so you know what you're attending to each day, or do you kind of let your muse guide you about where you need to put your attention? How do you do that?
I try to make a rough plan every month of where I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to focus
Okay,
my
by
time.
month.
Yeah,
Okay.
by month. That's more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so probably right now, like I'm prioritizing the manuscript for this light science fiction book,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
and trying to target that for the end of summer to have a first draft.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of in the background, I get these ideas for the third book and what I'm calling the Island series of books.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm constantly jotting those down. I use Scrivener for writing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
So there's an area in there you can park research items. So that's what I do here and
Mm-hmm.
there. When I ideas or come across something for that book, I park that into Scrivener file.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm so glad that you
Yeah.
mentioned research because you also told us that you had, we love all the scenes and the way that Michigan shows up in your books. You said that you did some lighthouse keeper research.
Yeah, I was looking for an island in Race for Redemption in the Straits of Mackinac, near the
Mm-hmm.
Mackinac Bridge. And I came across this island called St. Helena Island.
Mm-hmm.
And in researching that island, I found out the Great Lakes Lightkeepers Association owns the lighthouse there. They purchased it back in the 1980s and
Mm-hmm.
they've refurbished it and restored the entire lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
And every summer they have a lightkeepers program. where you can sign up and help do the maintenance on the lighthouse. So I actually did my second tour on there this summer.
Wow, that's so so cool.
So some of the
What?
scenes in the book are based on actually being in the lightkeeper's quarters and seeing the Mackinac Bridge from
Hmm.
that perspective, from actually where one of the characters is on the
Hmm.
island.
Yeah. And I
Right.
think we love that about, lots of authors I think have capacity where this is concerned, but you are really so talented at the rich descriptions of place that
Mm.
I feel like I'm in settings I will never be in, but
Hmm.
you must absorb every little nugget that you can because then it comes through in your writing. You're
Hmm.
really, really good at that.
I recently posted on my author blog. I have you can take a tour of some of the sites and there's links if you
Hmm.
want to visit those. So I actually have a PDF of some sites and where they are.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
I love that you make those so accessible for readers to understand. You know that they
Hmm.
might not go into the dome of the Capitol, but that the description is accurate.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
What are the challenges that come with writing a sequel?
Oh my goodness. I think yeah, I mentioned it, but I was so focused on that. And so on the first book, getting it in print. So in
Hmm.
23, I'm like, I got such positive feedback. I'll write a sequel, right? Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Hmm.
So I started writing it out, but then I quickly realized that this isn't like writing a standalone book.
Hmm.
There's a
Mm.
history you have to follow,
Hmm.
and you got boundaries you have to stay within, and you have to continue that story. So
Mm.
that I found challenging having like in the first book it was free form, right? Well,
Hmm.
this one I had to keep going back to the first book and it was a more of a challenge to write. And I can't change history. Sometimes I'd say, why did I put that in the first book?
Hmm. Right?
Why did I do that? So I didn't have that freedom to change things that well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then I discovered this was interesting that you have these fictional characters and people are really attached to them, the readers.
Hmm.
So when I was out doing book signings and book talks, I would get feedback on the characters and we're talking about them like they're real people.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
that's just fascinating, but they're
yeah.
attached to them. So when I had the first draft out just for a beta read last year, I really discovered that people were like, no, you can't have him do that.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
not my that's not my Fallon or that's not my Daniel.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Because you have, I mean, I don't want to give away too much, but you have some really good guys in your story, but they're
Hmm.
they're flawed. But I
Right.
can see where there are readers that, want to make sure that you, as the author and the creator, are doing right by their friends.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they had different ideas of how those characters, without giving away any of the plot, should
Hmm.
overcome certain challenges.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so I really had a way, how do you take that feedback? And it was good feedback, but what character is true to how I envision them,
Hmm.
not letting
Mm-hmm.
that influence them. So yeah, I really discovered a sequel is very challenging to write.
Hmm.
And it almost reminded me of life, right? There's a history we can't change, but people have expectations about us, but we can still shape our future.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
But it sounds like it made the process maybe slower than you imagined it would be because you have to go back to your own source material. Because I can imagine that there would be times that you might have been a little fuzzy about some of the very specific details. So you have to crawl back in and
Yes.
kind of verify and then maybe be frustrated with what you did yourself, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
then write your way out of it. Yeah.
I remember one where I said, "Did he have gray or white hair?"
Hmm. Right.
That little
Right?
detail. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it matters. Yeah.
And it couldn't have
Yeah.
slowed you down too much because man, you've put this out in sort of, great timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I consider 6 months lead time on getting it in print too.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
good. Does
Can I say the and sorry, Wynne, but after you, there's one sentence in the book that just jumps out at me that I want to highlight. But sorry, go ahead, Wynne.
no, no, you do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I love it, Chris, when I read something that I really enjoy, and there are individual sentences that speak to me because I imagine the writer really stressing and straining over, word by word. And when a sentence comes through and I'm like, wow, that's almost perfection, I highlight them. And there were several that I just adore, but there's one on page 69 in your book. It's an interaction between the characters Helen and Daniel. And you wrote, the room was quiet, yet Daniel heard a full conversation in her eyes. I was just like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm gonna go sit down. I'm not a writer. I can't do that. But there were several things like that where I was just like, okay, I'm a fan.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part of trying to let the nonverbal cues
Mhm.
speak louder than the words.
Yes. It was
Right.
just beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes. Well done. Bravo. Bravo.
Yes. Love it.
Does switching between genres help you do you think it helps your creative output?
Absolutely. Going into this other light science fiction book, it's a
Mm,
narrative style I haven't done before,
mm,
and it's really stretching me in writing.
mm,
Mm,
And just trying to get a grip, trying to find my voice in a new style of writing is really challenging. So
mhm,
it's all about trying to polish your craft of
mhm,
writing.
mhm,
But even in a short story, how do you compress a story into like 2,000 or less words?
mhm,
mhm,
It forces discipline. Yeah, trying to stretch myself, not just stay in that lane of political thrillers.
mhm,
I can't remember where I read this. It was a piece about someone telling if you think of your authorship as a brand and your product
mm,
offering, if you're in different genres and you have short stories and blog posts, you're broadening your
mm,
reach
mhm.
as an
mhm,
author.
mhm,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something else. Not that I'm looking at marketing all the time. It's more about
mhm,
stretching myself, but also expanding the readership of what I'm doing.
mhm,
Yeah. And
mhm.
do you think that that's an important thing for you to keep testing yourself a little bit? Because we've heard from other writers that sometimes there's that moment of, I don't think I can do this, but I'm going to try anyhow. That's very satisfying. So are you experiencing some of that too, that I need to see if I can do it, and then keep moving forward?
Yeah, the short stories I had all these ideas that weren't book length. So I'm like, I'm just going to jump into this. And
Yeah,
obviously getting a second place award at the Blue Ridge Writers Conference was really rewarding. It's like, maybe I'm onto something, right?
I
Maybe I
Mhm.
think
can
so.
do this.
Right?
Yes, I think so.
Right? Well, you clearly have opened a wonderful pursuit of writing in all sorts of forms and genres. I mean, you just really have tapped into such great potential. It's so fun to read.
Blogging too, I should mention.
Yeah.
I've been blogging about 15 years. I think that was really a good
Hmm.
way to start out because it teaches you to put your work out there, even when you think
Mhm.
it's not perfect,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and to get the reader feedback. So it kind of gets you in that process of putting things out there and not being scared to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And that just that hitting that publish button, thinking, okay, I'm
Oh,
going to
yes.
be done and I'm going to move on to
Right.
the next thing. Yeah,
Right.
you're right. It's a good cadence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chris, do you think when people are considering how to begin their writing journey, would you say then, given your point about blogging, that that's a good place to begin to kind of build your chops a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. Not the
Hmm.
only place, but one of
Hmm.
the good places to start.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me too, I've always loved the writing piece, and I was fortunate that I had my career in advertising and corporate communications, a lot of writing, but
Hmm.
I never was able to write for myself. But I also learned, I think, in my day job, so to speak, that networking into the publishing industry, the editors, getting into that writing community and making connections is really helpful. And that's
Hmm.
really how I got started with my first book is I had a MBA class in marketing, and the teacher was someone from the publishing industry.
Mhm.
So I had a good conversation with her, and we had breakfast another time to talk about how do I get my book published. And she
Mhm.
set me up with an editor who helped me get my first book off in print.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good reminder sometimes that I think for a lot of us, we don't want to be vulnerable when we're doing new things.
Hmm.
But when you have people around you who might be wonderful guides, and ever so willing to share what they know, it that's a beautiful thing. But it always starts with our own expression of, I might need help. Can you help me?
Oh,
Tell me
yes.
more about, which is a huge stumbling block, I think, for a lot of people. It takes courage.
Yeah, and the marketing part too, that's really
Hmm.
challenging to just put yourself out there and go.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, the first book I had knocked on probably 20 doors of bookstores, trying to
Hmm.
get them to, leaving copies of the book. And
Yeah.
so yeah, putting yourself out there, that's a
Yeah.
challenge sometimes.
Right.
I
But
remember you talked about that. Yeah.
yeah. And I love, though, what you've sort of described, which is, it's the context that you made from your, previous career that has some sort of opened the doors or at least paved some of the pathway to writing.
Yes.
So it's not like it's two distinct pursuits, even though, the format of your work has changed greatly.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah. A 300-page book's a little different than a 20-word ad.
Right. Right. But you're still you and you still know the same people.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
good. So
Well, I
good.
have to ask, is there anything that you could tell us about the sci-fi piece that you're working on? Is there anything that you would be willing to reveal?
Uh, the book really taps into my farm background. So it's centered around a small farm that's threatened by mega farms. So
Mm.
I think the question I am toying with there is, what do we lose in progress?
Yeah.
We take on new ways of doing things. What do we lose in our culture and our way of life? And what do we gain by
Mm-hmm.
progress?
Hmm.
And so the backdrop there is the son is working in a server farm in technology, and he's left the farm, and his dad's still there, and he's one of the remaining small farms, so that the son has to really wrestle with what his life is about. How
Hmm.
much should he just leave behind the old ways, or and just go down back to his life in the city?
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm. I like
Intriguing.
it.
It's good.
I do. I do. And I love how in both of your books you do such a great job of not just I don't it's not pandering, to the locals, but I love your ability to bring things forward that speak
Hmm.
to the place and the
Hmm.
locale. And maybe it was in the first book, but I giggled when I read about Verner's ginger ale, which I think is a very regional thing.
It is
But
a
if
very regional thing, yes.
yeah, if you know when you know, right? It's just, it's beloved, but I
Hmm.
think you have to have made a lot of people happy,
Hmm.
with this sequel because you pay homage to those things that are important about place so well.
Yeah.
There's a couple things. In the first book, I used the address of the old Tiger Stadium, and somebody actually referenced that, sent me a message, said anyone who can do that, it's a true Michigan book. And then
That's so good.
I started my career back in the 1980s at John Deere as a writer, and I had one of my old coworkers from way back sent me an email and said, I caught that the characters' names, some of them are named after tractor brands.
Oh, is that true?
That's true. Yep.
Oh,
Massey and Ferguson are after Massey Ferguson.
oh, of course.
And then I told him you missed one. Alicia Chalmers is Alice Chalmers.
Oh
Oh.
my gosh. See, now, and for
Hmm.
some writers, naming conventions and identifying characters and naming is really tricky. So now we're getting a peek, into your
Right?
process there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The behind the scenes look. I love it.
Yeah. Oh
There's some
my
inside
gosh.
jokes in the books, yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, so good.
So
So
good.
good.
Well, we are so grateful for you to come on and share your inside jokes and all the incredible creativity that you have, and we can't urge people enough to read this political thriller or anything that you do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate being here. It's so much fun being back talking
Yeah.
with you.
Well, it won't be the last time. You're hard at work, so we'll have to stay connected
Right.
and be on the cutting edge when you've got more to talk about. But in the meantime, like Wynne said, thank you so much for what you've given us. It's a beautiful read, and yeah, get out
Yeah.
there and keep working.
Yeah.
Well,
Well
Yeah.
done. Thank
keep
you.
those keys tapping.
Yes. Very good. Very good.
Thank you for listening. Our music is composed for Sharing the Heart of the Matter by the exquisitely talented duo of Chad Canfora and Rob Koenig. For show notes and more great inspiration, please visit our site at sharingtheheartofthematter.com.